Welcome to Be Your Own Motivation, the podcast about fitness and healthy lifestyle. Hello, and welcome back to our next episode from Be Your Own Motivation podcast. It's me, Tanya, and Kirsty.
Hi.
And today we have a special guest, and most of us will know her as like one of the most humbled rabbits in Dakar races. At least that's how I got to know her, and always friendly, always there with the camera, and always lovely and supportive. But there's so much more about her, and we talk about Robin Legatt. Welcome to the
Hel-
show.
Hello, it's great to be here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thank
we,
you.
we
Thank you so much for coming on. It's great to have you on the show. So as Tanya said, I think most people probably know you from DECA, whizzing around on the skates, getting all the content. But obviously you do so many other things. You do so many other races. You've got so much other fitness experience. So tell us a little bit about how you sort of got into your fitness journey, where it began, where it started, and kind of, I guess, what led you into where you are now.
Oh my goodness, how much time do we have? So let's go back really far back. I was not active in a organized sports fitness kind of way growing up. Like I grew up in the 80s. And I'm very upfront about my age. I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 last November. So I've been around for a long time and I grew up in the 80s. I told you I was going to go pretty far back. I grew up in the 80s where like we'd go out and play and we would be out in the neighborhood until the streetlights came on and then we had to come in and unsupervised. And so I was active in that way, but I never played organized sports at all. No, I take that back. I played one season of youth soccer. I believe y'all call it football. But my team was terrible. I was terrible. And that only happened once. So that was the only sport I played. And my family, like my brother was the one that was in Little League and played all the sports. And he was looked at as the athlete. And I was looked at as the little kid who wore glasses starting at age 7, clumsy kid, awkward kid, shy kid, not sports kid. So that was an identity I pretty much just embraced growing up, other than being, like neighborhood active. I did roller skate, by the way, because it was the 1980s and we all roller skated. So I'd roller skate around the neighborhood. We lived in a little cul-de-sac and I'd roller skate with my Walkman, listening to the Beastie Boys and Madonna. That was my two skating cassettes. Madonna Like a Virgin and Beastie Boys License to Ill. So I always roller skated, but like I still never viewed myself as an athlete. And that carried on through high school, through college, never played sports. So my entry into sports, athletics, and fitness came when I moved to Los Angeles in 2002. And sorry, 2003, 2003. I don't even remember anymore. Gosh. But yeah. So I moved to Los Angeles. I didn't know anyone. I wanted to move to a new city. Didn't really know anybody, didn't have friends. And I was looking for ways to meet people. And at the time I went on Craigslist because social media didn't exist back then. I went on Craigslist for a place to make friends, which I don't know if y'all have Craigslist across the pond. It's a
No.
site where basically you sell stuff and it has become
Okay.
kind of a shady place where you sell stuff where, people might come to buy something from you and they might be shady. And basically, in this point in time, it is not a place you would go to make friends. But back in the early 2000s, they had a section called activity partners. And I went on there to find just like meetup groups or something. And I saw an ad for a roller derby league in Los Angeles called the LA Derby Dolls. And it was very new. They had only been around for a couple months and they were recruiting skaters. And the idea of roller derby had always kind of sat in my head. I had seen footage of it from back in the day. And it's basically, for anyone who doesn't know what roller derby is, it's a full contact sport on roller skates. You're skating around, you're hitting people, you're being hit. There's a lot more to it, but we won't get to, this isn't a roller derby story. But basically I saw that and I was like, oh, and I've been a lifelong roller skater recreationally, but I was like, I think I have to go to this practice and give this a try. It was a scary thing to do. I did not know anybody. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I went over to a local roller rink and I went to my first roller derby practice. And everybody was pretty new at the time. They were all figuring it out because it had only been around for a couple months, but I fell in love with this thing. And I ended up playing competitive roller derby for 11 years after that.
Wow.
My first
Okay.
practice, I was 29. So basically throughout my entire 30s, I played roller derby. It became the center point of my life. You'd go to practice several times a night. Practices were always in the evening because everybody had day jobs. Go to, work or whatever during the day. Go to practice at night. We'd have games about once a month, and I played roller derby, and it was a really cool time. At the when I started, I was good at skating, but the game was forever hard for me. It's you play offense and defense at the same time. It's forever hard. But basically during my time in roller derby, I kind of figured out this thing about fitness for me. And it's like, here I am doing this sport where I want to get better. Like I am actively interested in getting better. It is mentally and physically challenging, and I want to figure out how to get better. And one of the ways, aside from learning the skills, the technique, the strategy, was to improve my fitness. And so I started getting into working out. And I also, over time, became a trainer with the league. So I was teaching skaters at all levels, and I saw something there that I really enjoyed helping people learn how to do things they never in their wildest dreams imagined they could do. And that helped them connect with fitness, fall in love with fitness, because that the same reason I fell in love with fitness. It was helping me do things that like really cool things, badass things that like little kid Robin never would have expected. And adult Robin never would have expected. So I ended up going back to school to become a fitness trainer because at the time I hadn't been working for a while. My original career was radio DJ in my 20s.
That's cool. That's so
Yeah.
90s.
I tell you, I contain multitudes. And there are a lot of tangents we can go on, and I'm trying to stay focused. But my original career was as a radio DJ. That's what I went to school for, but that's a very unstable industry. And eventually I lost, I did that for 6 years, lost that job, couldn't find a new one without having to move somewhere I didn't want to move. So I was trying to find a new, I was having kind of a career crisis and in my mid 30s. And that's when I realized fitness trainer is what I wanted to be, because I want to help people discover their ability to do things through their body and through their fitness that they never imagined they could do, and see how empowering that feels. And it's just wildly empowering, as both of you likely know. So I went back to school. I became a fitness trainer. And then that career was a whole journey in and of itself. We'll get to that in a little bit. But basically, that's how I got into fitness. And then when I finished playing roller derby, I retired as a competitive skater in 2014. And it wasn't because my body was done. There were a lot of factors. They were moving to a new venue that was much farther away. And in LA, that's really, commute and traffic and all of that is a big problem in that city. And it got to a point. Also, I was working, when you work in fitness, you have to adopt early mornings, and then the practices would be at night, and it was just too much. So I had to step away from being a competitive skater. I continued to coach for a couple of years before fully stepping away, but I wasn't done being an athlete. So I had to find my next thing. And it took some time. I thought maybe it would be CrossFit for a bit. I went to like a women's CrossFit gym. And at the time I was also, I'd worked in large gyms, small studios. And finally I kind of landed in an outdoor boot camp for a period of time. And the year was coming to a close, and there was a Spartan race in our city in December. And so I decided I wanted to take this group and run a Spartan race together as our big like end of year celebration. And so we ran the Spartan race. It was a sprint 5K. And when we were done, everybody was like, yeah, it was fun. Bye. And I was just like, when's the next one? And that's my personality. I go to roller derby practice. I play roller derby for 11 years. I go to a Spartan race and I'm like, now I want to do this all the time. But it lit up something very similar in me that roller derby did. Like, it was mentally and physically challenging. It was aggressive. It contained things that when in my first race, I could not do at all. Couldn't climb a rope, couldn't do overhead monkey bars, rigs, things like that. So I get through this race, and a lot of people, some people would finish that and be like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't want to do it. I finished that and I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I want to learn how to do
To
it.
know, yeah, to get it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that became my new obsession. And I started doing Spartan races every month. And that was 2015. So I still run
Okay.
Spartan race and I still run Spartan races. So
All right, that's a decade.
that's a decade. That's how I
Yeah.
roll. So that was Spartan race. And I started doing those races all the time, longer and longer distances, eventually, doing an ultra, doing the world championships, doing trifecta weekends, starting to do the trail races too. And I forgot to mention in the middle of that, I started running and doing like 5Ks, 10Ks, half
Oh
marathon
yeah,
road
yeah.
races. My 40th birthday, I ran my first half marathon road race. Like,
Wow.
so y'all, I know y'all get it because y'all are very similar in this way. But anyway, so yeah, I was in the Spartan race world. I'm still in the Spartan race world. Um, for a period of time, I opened my own gym. In 2018, I opened my own gym with my husband. We closed it in 2020. But during that time, I'm going to lead to DECA here. During that time, through Spartan races, I met Yancey Culp. He was very active in that world. I had met him there. I'd also seen him at like fitness conferences and events, and he would be out there working booths. And then through my gym, I belong to a fitness business mastermind, and the other DECA co-founder, Jared Cogswell, was a coach in that mastermind. So I met him before DECA. So I knew the both of them. I remember they were getting ready to start a DECA podcast. They came to me because I had a podcast called Seasoned Athlete. I say I had it. I have it. I work full time and I don't have time. And so I never say never. It could come back. But Seasoned Athlete podcast, I interview or have interviewed athletes over 40. That's the whole focus of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, they came to me because they're like, we're starting a podcast and you know what to do. Tell us what to do. So I had interacted with them as they were launching DECA. And in the meantime, I had opened a gym, I closed it in 2020 due to the pandemic. I was running an online fitness business, but really struggling with that, not making any money. We were struggling financially living in California and Southern California, which is very expensive, where my husband and I are now in San Diego. I met my husband through roller derby, by the way.
That's cool.
I contain multitudes. Okay, stay focused, Robin.
Was he in the other team or
He
was
did not know. He did not skate. He was a friend of a skater. I
Oh,
met him
okay.
at a birthday party, but we got engaged on the track and we got married on the track. And if you Google roller derby proposal, you can find our proposal.
Oh,
So
really?
It's a
cool.
video.
Okay.
Halftime at a game.
Oh, that's
It's
so
legendary.
cool.
I post it once a year, and then we got married. We got married on the track. Anyway,
Oh,
so
that's so cool.
roller
I love
derby is
that.
about love. Anyway, my husband and I live in San Diego. It's expensive. So I wasn't like looking for a job, but I was considering like trying to find a full-time job. And I was on a Facebook group. There's a DECA like affiliate gym owner Facebook group that they invited me to back in the early days.
Mhm.
And Jared posted a job opening for the DECA affiliate relations manager, the person that works directly with the affiliate gyms. And I looked at that job opening and I was like, they're looking for me. Like I could see it. I know how to do all these things. I've learned how to do all these things running a business. So I cobbled together a resume. I hadn't applied for a job in 11 years. I had been running various versions of my own business, cobbled a resume together, applied for the job, messaged Jared saying, I applied for the job, FYI. And they basically interviewed and hired me within 2 weeks.
Oh.
So that's how I joined
Okay.
DECA back in
They
2022.
were waiting for you.
They were waiting. They needed me.
Yeah.
So I applied and I got the job back in 2022. I spent a year as the affiliate relations manager, and then the marketing manager at the time left after that year. And so they asked me if I wanted to move into that role. And again, I didn't go to school for marketing. I'm very self-taught. I ran a, entrepreneurial, you learn how to do all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I stepped into that marketing role in 2023 and I've been in it ever since. And that's how you all ended up seeing me wearing roller skates, chasing athletes around at DECA Fit events. That was something I didn't immediately realize I could do. But after a few events, there was an event in Southern California where Yancey, in our job interview, Yancey said, I want to do a DECA Fit teams with you where you skate and I do the zones. So we did it in Southern California, just for fun. And it was super, super fun. But in that event, I put on my skates in the middle of the day and I'm like, I wonder if I could do this, like roll around. And I realized not only could I do it, but it's the most fun and it's the most effective way for me to do my job. So I started doing that ever since. So that's how I became the rolling rabbit. I don't think I could keep up with the elites in any other way. I'm definitely a mid-level age group athlete, and happy there. But the wheels give me an advantage. So that's my roundabout athlete story.
I think
All right.
what's
Yeah,
really
go on.
cool about that, just to say, is that I think it just goes to show you, you never know what opportunities could come up. Every going onto Craigslist and joining the Derby, and then, meeting your husband, and then doing the races and meeting Yancey, and I think like the fitness journey is not just fitness. It opens so many doors in terms of relationships, friendships, businesses, ideas, and I think that's what's great, is the fact that you could start a race one day and you just never know where it would lead, down the line. You never know where it's going to lead you. And, same for you, Tanya, being on like an elite journey. I'm sure when you first started, you didn't know where that was going to lead you, and similar for you, you're on this elite journey, and I think it's just so cool that I meet so many amazing people, and you just, all through racing, all across the world, and you just never know who you're going to meet and what's going to happen. I just think that's brilliant. And your story like perfectly highlights that, right? Like all these amazing things have happened just through fitness, from sport, from, challenging yourself. And I just think that's really cool. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a couple key pieces here that I like to highlight. Number one is like always say yes to something new. Don't be afraid to do something that seems a little bit scary. Like me showing up to that roller derby practice with my like thrift store skates, like that was scary. Like that was definitely a scary thing, but it was something that there was a little voice in my brain is like, you have to go, you have to see what's happening here. Going to my first Spartan race, a little bit scary, right? Like we have those moments where there's a lot of people that just wouldn't do it, and there's
Yeah.
so much value to just giving it a try. So the bravery. And number two is like the communities, and all the communities in sport are like the most amazing thing, and it exists in every sport and in gyms and fitness communities. But they create friendships where maybe you don't have adult friendships can be really hard,
Yeah.
making new friends and maintaining adult friendships can be hard. And my husband and I often like we keep to ourselves to a lot, but when we go out to races, we see so many people we know and so many friends, and it's great. And then it's that like building relationships is a lifelong thing. You may not, I definitely can talk about like professional journey and all of that stuff. And I actually just wrote a blog about it for a networking organization I'm a part of about career change. And one of the pieces is like always be making connections and networking, even when you don't need it, even when you don't immediately need it, because like they can become valuable years later in ways you never imagined. So
Yeah.
it's just being like, and I like to lead with like, I want to be a person that when I enter a room, people are happy I'm there. And so that's sort of my mantra. And that helps make those kinds of connections that, I'm not thinking about it in that way, but then years later, when I see like that job opportunity or something similar, it's like, these people already will go to bat for me and I would for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
It's
always be
it's
making
so
friends, always be
so
making
true.
connections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. I think I couldn't agree more with those 2 points. Like I think the say yes thing is so key, because a lot of people are afraid. And sometimes these things are scary, right? Like OCR races where you're out under barbed wire and climbing over things. But I always think that give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. But I think it's worse than having that regret of thinking, I wish I'd done that. I would rather always try something, and if I don't like it, I think I don't have to do that again. Because
I hate FOMO and regret.
yes,
I hate
yeah,
it. I don't want any
yeah,
of that in my life. So
yeah,
yeah,
good,
I'm always of the mindset of like, let's give this a try. If there's something of interest, if there's something talking to my brain, like, oh, that looks cool. Like, okay,
yeah,
if I don't do it, I'm going to be just living in that FOMO world and I don't like it.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. What do you think about that, Tanya? How, from your sort of perspective?
I just had so many thoughts in the last 5 minutes. Yeah, first of all, to catch that up, I think, yeah, it is always like, I mean, I get that a little bit from people when I was still like working out in regular gym. I'm not for a year right now, so I have my own stuff. But yeah, people, especially nowadays, people see on Instagram, like even if, especially OCR race, I've never done, um, or like Deca, High Rocks, whatever. They see it either on my Instagram, on other people's, and then they say, "Oh, that looks so hard. I would never be able to do that." It's the also this fear. It's like the fear of failure. It's not only to the fear of something new, unknown, but it's most people think they cannot do it, and that's often the barrier that people would miss the opportunity, I would say, to
Yeah.
just have this change probably in life, to find something, to try something out, and probably they like it or they love it and they will do it forever, like Robin just said her story. And so that's a little bit the tricky point often, to go over that barrier, to I'm maybe not good enough, or I may never be able to, that part is, I believe, a big barrier people should try to overcome a bit more,
Yeah.
but it's hard. It's a hard thing. And on the other hand, I was just loving all of Robin's story, because it was just like, funny enough, parallel a little bit to mine, even if it is a bit different, but it was still parallel. I mean, I played football when I was young, a little bit longer, but I started very early and stopped again at 10. And then I had like kind of a decade no sports as well. So, and then I had an office job. I had it for 7 years. Yours were 6 years, I believe. And then I changed and did the study for fitness. So that was like so many parallels, which is funny. I mean, we are so different age. We live at different parts of the world, and it's yeah, it's something connecting, right? And so yeah, I love that. It's so funny how so many people have like similar ways that they were not in fitness, especially in those hybrid races or OCR, and then they get there in a later age, and then they never quit again. So they just stick for the fitness journey forever, and that's just, yeah, so cool. Because also, again, if we take this social media thing, people always think, oh, these people must do sport their whole life. It's not possible. That's again the other view. So they always think like, you're born athlete. No, we're not. No, we also had like no sport in our life, or didn't know what we could have with sports. And yeah, so one question to Robin. So what would you say, in resume, you had those years with no sport, right? So you had your music, and I listened to the same music.
Yep.
The same
Oh, I still
songs.
listen to the 80s music. Like I'm stuck,
Yes,
but yeah.
I love the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm still like born in the 80s, so I don't know. I love
Yep.
the 80s.
Yep.
So how do you think it changed your surrounding? Because I mean, your job changed anyway, but also your whole like lifestyle and environment when you had no sport in your life and you were not into this game of sport or this like passion, versus the last 2 decades where you are surrounded in your whole world from sport.
I mean, a lot changed. I think the most prominent is that I'm a morning person now. Because when I worked in radio, like it was you work your shift, you go to concerts, you go out to bars. Like I was in my 20s, and that was great at that time. You're semi-invincible and you can stay up all night and barely get any sleep and come to work and actually do your job. But so my whole like time schedule, and I feel like I get a lot of nods from fitness people. It's like, yep, now I'm a morning person. Turns out, if anyone's listening and you're like, well, I'm a night person, I could never be a morning person, that's never going to happen. Yes, it can. You can train yourself to become whatever kind of morning night person you want to be. It takes time, takes patience. For a little while you'll have trouble falling asleep, but eventually you can flip. And now we get it, my husband and I get up we can get up as early as 5 a.m., go to the gym. Our gym's luckily right across the street, so we can walk there. And then by 9 p.m. I'm about to crash out. So what makes it challenging is I still love to go to concerts. I still love that. I still love music. So those nights are a little more challenging. But I'm a morning person. And fitness is the priority of my day. Like I I don't even think about it. So there are the people that are, going back to the olden days where it's like if I even tried to go to a gym, it would just take everything out of me. If I tried to run for 5 minutes, and that includes when I was playing roller derby, I couldn't run back then. I could skate for hours, but training is specific. And I'd try and run for 5 minutes and I'd be out of breath. So imagine even before that, I just like anything fitness related. It's just like, I don't know what to do in this gym. None of this feels good. Forget it. Now it's a non-negotiable. Now I'm in a worse mood if I don't do it. So, and the fun part is I brought my husband into it. So when we met, he was not that guy at all. And as I got certified and started teaching classes, he was a supportive husband, started coming to my classes. And now, like years later, I got him into Spartan racing. It took him a little longer. Got him into Spartan racing. He's done DECA. He and I work out together and we run together and we often race together. We don't always like race next to each other because he actually is now a faster runner than me. So we both run competitively. But I brought him into it. So he had the same transformation and now he's that guy. So, but it's just, I have become so ingrained with fitness that I don't even have to think about it. It's just like, this is what I'm going to do this today. And I feel worse if I don't. So, mentally and physically, I'm less focused at my job if I don't. So, it just it changes your priorities. It changes how you eat. It changes how your body tolerates certain foods. Because I'm not like super hardcore with my nutrition, but if I eat junk or if I drink alcohol, it interferes with my sleeping. It interferes with how I feel when I'm out running on a trail. And then I just have less of a desire to eat junk and drink alcohol. So like you start seeing how your body changes and how it interacts with junk food or booze or whatever. And it's like, oh, maybe I just don't want this as much. So it's just, you see these changes happen over the years where you want to eat better because it makes you feel better. You want to hydrate and you want to move your body.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big transition. It's gradual, but it's a big transition.
So true, so true. One thing I wanted to ask you is I love the fact that you're open about your age and still out there smashing it and stuff. So I think it's a great what I've noticed in Deca and High Rocks and the kind of hybrid world lately is that actually there's a lot more female athletes, especially in the kind of like 40 plus categories. Really leading by example. Just the first thing that comes to my head is last year at Deca Worlds, there was quite a lot of the British athletes that came over that were, in the 50s, 60s category that, did so well and podiumed. And I think it's great. It's such a great example for, still living a healthy life and doing all of these things at an older age. And like, I certainly find it inspiring, seeing all the ladies in the older categories, going for it. And it's really motivating. But obviously having done your own podcast and speaking to ladies that are in their 40s or over, what would be your biggest kind of like tips or things you would say to any, not even just females, but anyone listening that's 40 plus or older that might think, oh, I don't know if I can do it. What would you say is sort of like being in that category and having spoken to lots of people, that is like the biggest things you would say, motivation, advice, things to kind of
Mhm.
say to them?
Yeah. So first of all, going back to seeing the larger numbers of women. I can't speak to High Rocks, but I can speak to DECA because I see the stats. But groups are about 30 to 50. So it skews in that age group. And I love to see it.
Yeah.
For years, and especially, part of the reason why I was doing my podcast is and it wasn't always just women I was interviewing, but over the years, I kind of gravitated towards women because I wanted to see more women getting active and participating in sport. And I find I think it helps for women to hear these stories, and why it's so important for me to share my story very candidly is that they need to hear that it's not just women who were elite athletes in high school who have played sports their whole lives. And I interviewed some of them, but I found that the interviews that did the best were the later in life athletes.
Yeah.
Because they hear these humble beginnings. They hear stories that sound like their lives, that I didn't play. I was that kid who was picked last in school for schoolyard sports. I was that kid. And I didn't, I found an unconventional way into sport. And I share my story about having to gather up the courage to go to that first practice because it does require that in certain instances. I talk about, when it comes to running, how slow the build is, that you're not going to be able to run a half marathon or even a 10K right away. It takes time, but it comes. It always comes. And so giving it that time and talking about, the expansiveness of my own fitness, and that over the years when I started running, I would train for a 5K, and I remember when I did my first couch to 5K, like I followed the couch to 5K to run my first 5K. And it was always like run 1 minute, walk for 3. It's like, okay, we can do that. That's doable. And then one day I opened it up and said, run for 10 minutes. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And I went out and ran for 10 minutes. And that was like the most amazing thing I'd ever done in my life at that time. And I celebrated however I celebrated it, but I was like, I just ran for 10 minutes straight, y'all. And I think it's important to have those celebrations at every single milestone. But looking back, like I have run a Spartan Ultra, I've run a Trail Ultra, I have run 7-hour Spartan Beast races, I have run 2 marathons, a road and a trail, where I spent 7 hours with high elevation. Like I've done all these crazy things now, and I'm still that same person that it blew my mind when I ran for 10 minutes without stopping.
Yeah.
And every step along the way feels the same. When I finished my first 5K, I felt as wrecked as I felt when I ran 10 minutes straight. When I ran my first ultra, I felt as wrecked as I felt finishing that first 5K. Your body adapts. So I think it's important to share, like, yes, it takes time, but wow, it's amazing when you hit those milestones, and they come all the time. Like and you never stop having those milestones. And that's where you feel that expansiveness of fitness, that like the more time you dedicate to it, like the limits just move farther and farther back. And you may feel like they're right there in front of your face when you haven't started, but over time, those barriers move farther and farther back. And that never stops. As you get older, sure, there's aches and pains, there's injuries, there's all that stuff you got to play around with, but you're stronger, more resilient than you would be if you didn't do this stuff. So for motivation, it's like, take that first step. If it's running, like put on a pair of shoes, take that first step off the door and run to the end of your block and back. Like start as small as you need to start. If there's something that interests you and you have an opportunity to get involved at whatever level, like there is so much power to gathering up that bravery. And I don't hear about regret from that. I don't hear the stories of regret. I hear the stories of lives changed. So yeah, it's being relatable. Share, if you're in that position to share that story. Always be a leader, be a motivator yourself, because we want more women in these worlds. We want, what's been fascinating to me now that I'm in my 50s, the women that used to be the ones that like I would compete against for podium spots and not get them in Spartan, they actually have all moved to hybrid. They've all moved to hybrid. So I'm getting podiums in Spartan. They're coming a little easier, but I can't for the life of me get a podium in DECA and any sort of hybrid fitness because the competition level has become really, really high in
Yeah.
these 40s and 50s age groups. But that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so cool that aging women are showing what's possible and
Yeah.
that being older doesn't mean you have to live smaller or be more careful.
Yeah.
That you can do challenging things, hard things, epic things. Like
Yeah.
it's all available to us through fitness as a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that opens those doors.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so true, and that's great advice. I think, and you're so right. It's the world has changed. Women don't need to be these frail, sort of old ladies anymore. Like we've moved on from that, and I think I think it's amazing to hear that 51% of the DECA population or the DECA entrance is women. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think a big
It's
part of
incredible.
that, I think a big part of that is the gyms.
Yeah.
That most of our events happen inside gyms, and that's the first step for a lot of women, and it's where they feel comfortable. It's with their
Yeah.
people, their community, their coaches. So it starts there with the DECA Strong and an event that doesn't involve running, but we're meeting women where they are and where they spend their time, and then they
Yeah.
can grow from there. And so then they become more expansive and can take harder challenges and move to the DECA Mile, DECA Atlas, DECA Fit, Ultra. Like we create these next
Yeah.
levels for them, or doing multiple events in a day, which is very, very much possible at our events. And but I think a big key of that is the gym events and absolutely meeting them in a place where they feel at home.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think sorry, Tanya, I know you're waiting to say something.
All good.
I think what's great is that, we in the UK are, our affiliates are really like building now. The numbers are, sort of starting to grow. From my experience of coming over to the US, and competing a few times, you can really see that. You get the big groups of, the gyms coming together. They've all come from their gym. They're all competing, and it's just such a really great thing to see, like a really great environment, where they've come together as a group, no matter, all the different levels within that group, but they're all there together in their gym, with their gym flag or wherever they're from, their sign. And it's really cool. It's such a cool thing to see. And I think hopefully as we grow in the UK, we start to get that similar thing happen, because you're right, it makes people feel safe and it makes them feel comfortable, and they're with their friends, but they can move to a harder DECA race, but they're still with their gym, they're with their people.
Yeah. And imagine, you're doing those final burpees, you're suffering, and like all of your gym community is
Yeah.
screaming at you, supporting you. Like that's an
Yeah.
amazing feeling. Plus we have teams, so you get to partner with your buddies and run together, which as we all know is a lot of fun.
Yes.
But yeah, there is power to the gym communities. Gyms are a place where you're working on your physical health, but they support your mental health and your emotional health, and that speaks to a lot of women, I think. That's definitely what I saw in my own gym community when I had one. So, we love seeing that. We love seeing those big gym groups at our events and cheering each other on and just really
Yeah.
representing. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, Tanya, I think you were.
It's all good. Yeah, I just want to resume a little bit. So first of all, that's also what I mean, we don't have affiliates here. So in Europe, it's still, we need more. But
Europe, get on board, join us.
we are hopeful that it will grow here as well. But in general, if we take it again together, like over the last 2 decades, in general, more women took a step into a gym. That's the first good part. And then I couldn't agree more to what you said. Like, if you start at whatever gym and you're working out, in the beginning, I mean, I was like this as well. I was just like, I want to be invisible. Please don't look at me. Like I want to not be seen because I was scared I would do something wrong, or I felt uncomfortable, obviously, because everything is new. And so at some point, you find people, you talk to them as a woman, you know, and then probably others are longer there, they help you, you help each other. So that's one part. And then if you are in such an affiliate, whether it's DECA or something else, who can run like such small events like a DECA Strong or something in that gym, so it's easy to like, all right, I want to do that. You have it in your head, and then you think, I don't want to do it alone. Let's ask my friend who is also in the gym, you know, and then one catches each other up. And then again, if the competition or that event is happening, and as you say, that you struggle, whether it's the bike, it's the burpees, whatever, you have those people next, and you know those people did it as well, and then they stand next to you until you're done. So that's like, it's like similar to CrossFit kind of style, where CrossFit started at some point. It was also those community, like whatever last reps, we stand there until the last person did the last rep. And that's like a point I found as well in DECA, definitely, whether it's a big event or a small event. And I think there is no similar sport where so many women are in, to be honest, because usually it's mainly about men, and usually wherever you start is like 10 times more men's than women. But there are so many now fast and strong women in all versions of DECA, whether it's even DECA Atlas. There are so many right now already, so crazy times in there, and it's so new. So, and just like I was catching up the leaderboard yesterday, and I saw there's a woman in the category also 50 to 54, did below 13 minutes, the DECA Strong 1 week ago. And I was just like, wow.
Right? Like I'm nowhere near that. Gosh.
I was just like, I want to be that person in that age.
Right?
Please let me get there because
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
now not yet there.
Well, you got some time. I'm
Yeah.
there and I'm not. Yeah, I can't compete with these top 50 to 54
Yeah,
women.
I mean,
They are
that's
ridiculous.
faster. It's faster than me. Or like if we look at Amy in High Rocks, like how fast can she run? And she has like how many kids? Like it's so impressive. And yeah, it's just amazing. I loved, like Kirsty said earlier, that we have like those like older women, even though like 40, 50, it's not an age, but in sports it is kind of.
Yeah.
And so it's just so impressive. And I think it's also always like, at least for me, it's like kind of a role model, because you think, wow, that woman got 3 kids. She probably had like 5 years no time for sport because she had all these kids to carry and a job and whatever. And she still makes it now to train and be able to do all this stuff. So I can be able to do it as well, right? Or if you have never done sports, and you are at the mid 40s or whatever, and you see these women, it's just like such a kind of role model and inspiration and motivation. They can do it, so why shouldn't I be able to get also into this and be able to do that, whether it's RCR or hybrid or just running, like you said earlier. Like, I mean, there's nothing more cool than you start. I mean, we all start at the same journey. I have never run in my life before, so when I started running, it was the same. I was like, 5 minutes. Oh, right, I got 5 minutes, but that's not long. I need to get more, you know. So this way of like, yeah, I mean, I could do 5. I will be able to do 15 soon, right? So this kind of thing, and it's just like it gives you, it changed your mind, it changed your body, like you said, it changed the nutrition, it changed just everything. But as you said as well, with no regrets. I mean, I've never heard a person saying, "Oh, I started my fitness journey, but that was shit." Like, I hated it. That was stupid. I will never do that again.
I think there's people that maybe go to a gym one time and said that was shit and stopped. But
yeah, well,
but for those who really find it, but it's because it takes patience.
Yes.
It is, there is no magic pill to fitness. You know, the story I've been telling today is a 20+ year journey that just happened to start when I was 30 and not when I was a child. So and it just proves it's like it's never too late. It's
Yeah.
never too late to start this if this is something you wish to have in your life. You don't have to have been doing it your whole life, and I certainly haven't. But uh, and it's all still challenging. But
Yeah.
I get to take on big challenges, and I love to take on big challenges, and I have found that in myself that I love to take on big challenges. We talk about the sub 13-minute 50 something woman, and then like, okay, like I have been struggling to get under 19 for my
Yeah.
strong. And I know it's like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to compete with them, but I know what I can do. I know that I'm really consistent. Like I'm a consistent runner. I'm not the fastest, but I'm consistent. I can keep a consistent pace. I can take on challenges that go for hours. I have learned that. I think Kirsty, you and I are similar. I'm like, all right, I don't know how I'm going to do an age group, so let's put on a ruck.
Yeah.
Let's put
Yeah.
on a ruck. I
Yeah.
can grind it out with that ruck.
Yeah.
I can stay consistent with my running. I don't know if I'll ever be the fastest because there's some beasts in that too, but I can grind it out with a ruck. And so I kind of moved into that category because it suits me. Where and I recently did, there was a International Trails Day elevation challenge that a local trail running group put on, just as much elevation as you can do in a day. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go to my local trail. It's about a 3-mile round trip. I'm gonna do as many loops as I feel like doing in a day. Ended up spending almost 7 hours out there and 19 miles and 6,000 feet of elevation on one little trail. I can do that. I have the mental
Yeah.
tenacity that I have built up through doing all this stuff that I can grind it out for hours. So it's like these are the epic things I'm like that I love doing and I'm chasing. And I'm kind of creating a fitness space that feels right for me. And ultimately what I want to do is and I like to share this advice is I'm in my 50s, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, but I basically I want to be able to do whatever challenge sounds interesting to me at any given time. Like I want to be able to do anything I want to do when I want to do it and know my body will support me. And I think that's a message I like to send because it's not just like I want to be fit or have this A race or whatever it is. It's like I want the freedom to take on whatever challenge sounds fun at any given time. Sounds fun in my weird little brain and know that I can show up and do it. I want to be able to get up on a Saturday morning and be like, let's run a half marathon on a
Yeah.
trail. Okay. I can do that.
Yeah.
I have the ability to do that if I want to. I'm going to do this trail challenge. I'm going to do this elevation challenge and spend 7 hours just going up and down the same hill. Because that sounds like fun today. It didn't sound like fun the next day, I'll tell you what, but that to me is like freedom at any age. It creates a freeing lifestyle where you're not limited by your age. And
Yeah.
the great thing about aging in the fitness world is it actually, I almost feel like it slows down aging a little bit. Like you look at women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s today, and then you see pictures of women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s in the 70s and 80s, and we don't look like they looked,
Yeah.
and it's just we're living a different lifestyle. Um and I think that's cool,
Yeah.
and anytime I'm frustrated because I have like a low back injury that's been nagging for a long time, like an overuse injury. My husband's had a lot of like foot and ankle issues and gets frustrated. It's like, I'm getting older. These things are happening. But at the same time, it's like, but look at where we are compared to those who do not live the lifestyle that we have
Yes.
chosen to live. Like, we're still getting out there and doing these things. Of course, we're going to have injuries come up. Anyone does, but it's not taking us out of commission.
Hmm.
We're able to be mobile and we're going to continue to be mobile into our like actual senior years. That's the goal. And a lot of our friends, colleagues may not be able to say that. So it's that freedom
Yeah.
that comes with aging through an active lifestyle that I, I think is empowering and again why it's so important for women who started late, women who are moms of multiple kids, pursuing high level sports to share their real stories because there's always an assumption. It's like, yeah, you have childcare or you've been doing this your whole life or you don't have a job. And it's like, no, these are real people living real lives with real challenges. They do not have time freedom. and they figure it out. And we'd love, it's important to know how, and to hear these stories, to hear, oh, this is doable.
Definitely. And I think like that is such a key message. I think it's so easy, isn't it, seeing on Instagram and social media to get caught up in podiums and first places. But actually, that is such a key thing, is just being able to go out and your body can manage a trail run or a marathon or whatever the challenge might be, and that in itself is the podium. Completing that challenge, that is the gold, right? Because you've been able to do something that you couldn't do many years ago, or and no one's ever going to turn around to you and say, you did a Spartan Ultra. Oh God, that's rubbish. Because you would turn around and say, okay, have you done 60 kilometers and 60 obstacles? No, do you know what I mean? So like, no one's ever going to turn around to you and say, oh, that's rubbish. Like you've completed something that not many people can do. And I think like, that's such a key message, is we all probably, even I do have a tendency to be like, oh, I didn't podium, but actually just completing something and just ticking it off, and or overcoming something in that race or that challenge that was difficult, is a big win in itself. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget those wins, because focusing on the end result so much sometimes. So that is such a great message, is that if you're at that age, or you're slightly older and you're able to get out and do these things, that's just amazing. It's incredible and should be celebrated, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have to remind my husband and myself this sometimes when we get frustrated because we had a bad race, or whatever. It's like, being a low to mid-level age group Spartan racer, hybrid athlete, is still like miles beyond the majority of the population.
The couch potato.
Everyone we know. It's like, it's just like, they look at us. I remember when I did the Deca Ultra, or not the Deca Ultra, sorry, the Spartan Ultra. I did the Spartan Ultra and I posted about it on Facebook, and my older sister was like, you must be in the top 1% of athletes. That's how she viewed that. And I was like, and I just laughed. I'm like, no, I'm not. But thank you. But like, it's all perspective, know, and we get caught in that moment where it's like, we're hard on ourselves, had a bad race, got our butts kicked out there, struggled, all of that. And it's like, we are still miles beyond just about everybody, and especially people our age. And and I think it's important to remind ourselves of that. Just get real with that from time to time, because we tend to get type A when you get a competitive mindset and you forget. But
But that's another really key point as well. Sorry, Tanya. I just before I forget, is that, again, I always think to myself, there's always someone watching, right? So like, no matter what level you're at, so the people that aren't maybe doing anything are looking at, maybe like, I'm just an average, mid-pack age group athlete as well, could be looking at me thinking, oh, I wish I could do what she does, and then I might be looking at Tanya thinking, oh, I wish I could, do a Deca Fit that quickly. There's always someone watching from the sort of level below you, always looking up to that next level. And so I always try to think, no matter what you're doing, hopefully if you just inspire one person, whether it's someone older or someone younger but doesn't do anything, if you can just inspire one person to get up and get going or try something, I think like that's a win as well, right?
I have a thing I always said on my podcast, and it's, everybody is an inspiration to somebody. Everybody is an inspiration to somebody. And I believe, as humans, I know women, we really take this on, but it's a human responsibility to pay that forward, to take that seriously, that everybody is a responsibility, or everybody is an inspiration to somebody. And it's our responsibility to use that to bring somebody up. So I think women are really good at leading with that, as much as we celebrate our own wins, but we want to help other women see that in themselves. And I think that's just natural for us, but I think it's a human responsibility that everybody should be trying to help use their stories and use their experience to help somebody else improve their lives. And then they can become an inspiration. But really, it's like, that person that's not out there doing fitness, like they're still probably inspiring somebody, because everybody is an inspiration to somebody. So let's all remember that.
100%. Yeah, that's a really good point.
It definitely counts for all areas, not only for fitness, but all. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So again, so much.
We could go on for hours and hours.
So many thoughts. Well, the reason why I started with teaching classes before I was personal trainer or whatever, and the reason I did it because I wasn't able to do it for several times due to a disease I got and due to so crazy pain, and that's like already connected to what I actually want to say, to the freedom you mentioned, because I nearly get tears when I heard you speaking because of my own emotions about it. Because I wasn't able to do anything anymore because of the pain of I was caught in my body. And if you don't have that freedom anymore to just go out and walk, to just walk stairs, if that's not there anymore, you feel like you're caught in your body and you cannot use it anymore. And that's the worst thing I experienced in my life. I had like a lot of worst experience in my life, but on myself, on my own, that was the worst thing I ever got. And it's horrible if you cannot do what you want to do. And so I couldn't agree more. So my main fact that I still, after 12 years, walk into fitness and still do the stuff, even I felt uncomfortable, even I felt, I don't know if I will do this long. I do it because I know to maintain the muscle, to maintain endurance, is keeping me the freedom to use my body, to walk somewhere I want to walk. If I want to walk to whatever, if it is even only the supermarket, if I'm able to do that, that's a win. Like, versus where I was in my very early 20s, and that's like crazy. And I could have back then also never imagined that I would ever called an elite athlete or something. It still feels sometimes a little bit weird and uncomfortable. But the main reason I want to be trainer or teaching classes or whatever was to help the other people to do that as well, to have the fitness, to move their body, to see what it's given them, and especially in personal training, especially when I'm a woman, so more women come to me for training than men. That's just obvious. That's just how it is in the world. And so I had a lot of people, of women my age or a little bit older, like 5 years older, 10 years older, who didn't do anything for themselves, like for years, like I said before, raising kids or having a stressful job, earning money, career, whatever. And so to help those people to find themselves and find their body and find their freedom back after losing weight, or, that's just like the best thing to do, like that you can give, even if you work 3 months and there's just one person stick forever with it, you help that person. And if it's just one, it's one. If it's 100, great. But it's just like to give to just, that's also why I share my story. In the last years, in the first years I didn't. In the last years I do, very open, but in the first I didn't, because it was still like, I don't know how to say, it was too emotional. It was too hard still on me, too much weight on me to share it. Probably people can agree to that. If you had like horrible years in your life, probably you don't like to speak, or because of the judgment of the society, you don't want to speak about different topics. So I was a bit there, and then I realized there are so many struggling from similar things and feeling as alone as I was, and so that's why sharing is caring. No, but sharing is really helping, and especially if we do it on social media. So if just one person is reading it and things like, oh, there's one person who got to the same thing or similar thing, it's motivating, and it just like helpful, and you don't know even that you help that person because it's just behind social media. You don't see who will read it or if anyone will read it. But if there's just one, it was worth it, you know. And yeah, so just again for everybody, probably just listening to this randomly and just started their journey, or like you said, stepped once in the gym and think, oh no, that's not my thing. Just take a second step and a third step, and it will get better, and you will be so proud just on what you will achieve in a short time and a long time. And as you say, aging, I mean, that's just the topic. Even if I look, people at my age, there's like worlds worlds apart, like from people who don't do sport, who still do party, drinking alcohol all weekends, and you know, just eating, like they say in Luxembourg, we like to use to eat well, and that's just what they mean, like just like whatever food. I don't give a fuck
Like
on what I'm
flavor
eating.
rich foods is oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you
And you know
know,
what? There's room
like
for that. Like, you know, you gotta live your life, but like
yes,
you just get more in tune with your body and how it
yeah,
reacts, and then make informed choices. But you know,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's more about and just I love that you couldn't have said it better, like that the eating changed when you got fitter, because you feel so much more what it does to your body in that moment. Because if you go out tonight, you drink alcohol, you eat fast food, and you want to run 15K tomorrow, you will feel shit. Right?
I mean, if we want to get real, we want to get real vulnerable. Like certain foods, if you go out and run a trail run, you might end up in a precarious situation. I don't know how
Yeah.
much I need to say.
Oh, we get it.
Where I have been in.
Yeah.
And when you've been in it once, you
Yep.
You
don't
will
want
never
to
experience
do
it
it
again.
again. You don't want to do it again. It only takes one.
A
Oh,
hundred
And
percent.
that leads to like it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to share vulnerabilities. It's hard to share embarrassing things.
Yeah.
That's an example of an embarrassing thing that happened to me on a trail, but it gets a point across. But it can be hard to do that. But as you know, Tanya, as you talk about the people you train and the steps they take, hopefully they will get to a point someday where they are ready to share their story and help bring
Yeah.
someone else up. And it as we if we continue to pay it forward, we're going to see a lot more women taking on big, bold challenges, a lot more women becoming, you know, elite athletes, providing competition for the other elite athletes, for better or for worse. And a lot more women having that, a lot more older women doing things they never imagined they could do, and having that freedom of movement that will take them, that will carry them through the decades. And it's so important, but it's also a gift that is not guaranteed, and we do need
yeah.
to work for it.
So true. Um, One thing actually, this ties on quite nicely in terms of like the motivation and women supporting women actually was just two really different ends of the scale actually from my experience just coming back from North Carolina. So funnily enough, I don't know if you've noticed this when you've been at races, Robin, in the US more so especially, is that the women elites seem to draw a bigger crowd in. There was the crowd were going wild for Janelle Teal and
Yes.
Tara, the head to
Yeah.
head. I mean, obviously people were cheering for the guys for Ryan, but like the crowd were there for the ladies. It was amazing. And then also like, you know, moving through the pack, like into age group, I was out on course at the same time as the lady who was in the wheelchair. I don't know if you saw Nancy.
I did. I
Nancy
have seen
shared it,
those. I've seen that. Yeah.
and again, it was just incredible. You know, the support, the crowd. I mean, how some of the movements she was doing, like doing the box overs, she was sort of spinning and then going around the box and then spinning in the chair. I was like, that's incredible. Like, you know, the support for the women, no matter whether you've got the elites or whether you've got the spread through the age group, like it is incredible. And what I love is that, you know, you guys showcase that, you know, through the, you know, the social media and platforms and everything, is that DECA really is for everybody. You know, anyone can do it. You know, the lady that, forgive me, I don't know her name. The lady in the wheelchair was doing every, station. There was nothing that she wasn't doing. She was like pushing the tank with her knees in the chair. I was like, it was incredible, and I just think like I love more so I'm touching on Deca. I know there's adaptive waves in other hybrid sport, but just because we're all, doing Deca here, I just love the way that everybody is portrayed. Not
Yes.
it's not just focusing on the elites, like the elites are incredible, but it's also focusing on the age group, everyday athletes, no matter what your ability, who you are. And I just think like I don't know, I'm sure you come across probably hundreds of, touching stories and inspirational stories, in the role that you do. But I think like it's brilliant the way you guys showcase it.
Thank you. That's the work I do. So that's really important to me. It's really important to me to share the stories of the wide range of athletes that we have, and the tagline, and I think it's on a shirt now at events. It's "We are all athletes." That's something I came up with for Deck. I'm really proud of it.
That's
But
cool.
it's that's what I want everybody to feel when
Yeah.
they're in the deck arena, that it's not just the elites that get to use that name, that word. We are all athletes at
Yeah.
whatever level we come in. You step up to that start line, you cross that finish line. Yeah, you're doing athlete stuff. So I really love to showcase the different types of stories, the different types of people. Because again, I think it's important that the people looking at our social media, reading our emails, seeing our marketing, have an opportunity to see themselves in there if they can, because and even if it's a version of themselves that doesn't exist yet, but that they could see themselves becoming, um that's my hope, is that'll bring somebody new to the
Yeah.
start line, because they see it's like, this is amazing. I This person is doing this person kind of looks like me, maybe I could do this too. Maybe, and then it's just having that bravery to step up to that start line, and then amazing things happen when you're brave and you do something new. So
Yeah.
that's something I've taken really seriously. And it makes me happy to see that that's being seen.
Yeah. And I mean, Tanya, sorry, I know you're going to say something. Just one more thing linking into that, but I know Tanya, you would have experienced this from Worlds as well, and obviously Robin, you'll see this every event. But what I also love is that Yancy, everybody that's involved in Deca, setting it up, organizing it, is out on course. Yancy, I've been out on course with him where he's been in the middle of the track high-fiving people. Obviously, I've seen you around snapping and recording people. Mark is there from the ruck division, out on course fist bumping. And I just love that you're all present, all the staff are present, because I think that makes people feel really special as well. That the organizers, they're high-fiving you, they're fist bumping you. It makes somebody like me, just your average Joe athlete, feel really special as well. You feel like you matter because you've got the creators there, high-fiving you and stuff. And I think like that is something really amazing that I've experienced. Tanya, I don't know if you experienced that at Worlds. You saw Yancy and everyone out on course.
He will high five everybody, every
Yeah,
single person.
yeah,
Yeah, just a person full of love.
Yeah,
I
that's
would just
Yancy. That is.
I would just resume it very shortly like this. But I mean, we could talk way much more, but yeah, and that's so true. I mean, I've been the first time in my life in America just for the Deca Worlds, and um, not only, I mean, the Deca stuff was great, but also I was so positively surprised by all the American athletes I've never met before. I just, knew via social media, via the live streams you did, and the names, the big names, and especially in women, it's something I would say I don't experience in every sport. To not point out on anyone, but in DECA, especially in USA, it was just like, oh, they know who I am. They talk to me like that. That was like crazy for me from that point of view. But also in Europe, I have to say, every time the organization in Spain, in Italy, was really like the people are just so passionate. So everybody, like you, Robin, like Yancy, but also like we have Gloria. She's the angel.
Yeah.
She's our angel in Deca, Spain. She's always happy, helpful. She will, yeah, she will always have a smile for you, whether you have a shit day or you know, like those people, and that's so real about all the DECA events, and that's something I have never had in any. I mean, I did different competitions, but it's that kind of you count no matter who you are, you count, and that's what I love about it. It's not you don't have to have like a big name to
Yes.
to to get the staff talk to you and be helpful to you. In other
Yeah.
sports, it's more about like, oh yeah, you're a big name, we will help you, but who is that Tanya in the corner there? Like nobody cares, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, what else I want to say? Now I forgot what I want to say before.
Well, I just want to make a point,
Yeah.
like about the DECA team. So this is not a job for us. Like we believe, all of us, I speak for the whole DECA team, we wholeheartedly believe in what we're doing and know the power of what we're doing and how it can change lives. Yancey and I come from a fitness background, so we have experience being, training people. And what I love particularly is like now I get to, although I am not training people myself, I work with these gym owners. I feel like I'm playing a role in helping change lives at scale,
Yeah.
which feels awesome. And so, but that's what you see from us out there is very, very real. We are very passionate about what we've built. We have a very small team and we've worked really hard on it. And we're proud of it. And also the community that just sort of happened, through these gyms. It's like the DECA community is unlike anything I've seen. And it's really, really cool. Whether you go to a gym event or you're at a DECA fit, everybody is so supportive, no matter what level you're at. Everybody is so nice, no matter what level you're at. And so it's just a great vibe and energy in that arena. And yes, Yancey is what you see from Yancey is exactly who he is. And he makes it a goal to high five or fist bump every single person in the room. And I think he does a pretty good job at
Yeah, he
it.
does. Yeah, he does.
So yeah, I got my question back. So
Okay.
as I am like, I mean, I help like obviously some clients to stick to fitness, and so that's like one. There are some highlights for me, but if we talk about racing or like events, I'm still very proud. I got I made it that my dad did a Deca Strong with me.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah,
Yay.
and we're still in the age group ranking.
Oh, is dad coming to world championships this year? How fun.
Uh, he doesn't want to travel over, but yeah,
Oh,
we will see. So my question would be, if what comes straight in your mind from like you had a fitness or probably somewhere else on your journey, what was the most inspiring thing you saw a person changing or a person stepping into probably the competition floor who was worlds apart before or something. So what's probably the most inspiring story you had in those decades, sorry, in
sure.
fitness?
That is, I mean, you're
It's a
testing
hard
my
one.
memory. You're talking about 2 decades. I'm 50, so you're trusting my memory here. I mean, I don't know if there's any one that, I have a lot of great stories on the DECA side. I love the story of Amy and Andy Haskell. Amy Haskell has multiple sclerosis.
So I saw
And she,
Oh,
this.
okay.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
So she has mobility limitations. They run teams together and they
Yes.
belong to an affiliate gym. So first, this is like her first experience in any sort of sport, and knowing that like this is something she can do and how it's empowered her and how it's got her connected to fitness. And it was at the Northeast event. I think it was a couple years ago. They ran teams together. So he basically does anything she physically cannot do, but she does a lot. And the funny thing is, I remember catching her on the bike. She was on the bike and she was smiling. I'm like, Amy, you're smiling on the bike. And she just kept saying, I love the bike. And she's like, who says that? So she just smiling the whole time, loving every minute of it. We get to the burpees. She does all of the burpees herself, and I record it. It took her 8 minutes to do the burpees. And
Wow.
as she was doing the burpees, a crowd was forming, just more and more people because she was there for 8 minutes. And just more and more people crowding, cheering her on. The cheers got louder and louder until she finished her last burpee. After 8 minutes, they crossed the finish line, and it was just unreal. Just the energy in the room was unreal. And that's on social media. It was on the Instagram somewhere. It's probably our best performing post of all time because it's just one of those moments that, like, how can you not want to cry?
Yeah.
If you don't want to
just when,
cry,
yeah.
there might be something wrong with you. But so there's moments like that, and then there's moments like when I owned my gym, and I'd have, our focus was obstacle racing in the gym, and I brought people over from my boot camp that, like, either they did that one Spartan race or they hadn't, and I had to really talk them in to doing races with me. And then seeing them be able to do an obstacle, like get across the monkey bars for the first time, either at a race or in the gym, and how they felt. And that was really exciting and inspiring to me, seeing someone climb a rope for the first time. So I love the firsts. When I was teaching skaters, I used to teach a class where it was very, very beginner, people who hadn't we had an 8-week program, and they were very, very new, and we teach them like skating for roller derby over 8 weeks. And many people on the first class, I would always get them in a circle and ask them like how you found us and what your skating background is. And many of them were like women in their 30s and 40s that hadn't been on skates since their third grade birthday party, and they were terrified. And I would watch them over the years as I trained them, and they'd move up through the ranks, and they would eventually like eclipse me in skill, and they would become all-star skaters. And like one of them went to Team USA and skated for the United States. And like
Wow.
seeing that happen and knowing where they were when they started and having been there along their journey. Like when I retired from roller derby, I remember a lot of people came up to me in that game and said, "You taught me how to skate." And I don't know how many people said that, but that felt really, really good because it's
Oh,
like to be a part of their journey in that way. So there is no one story is what I'm saying. When you have 20 years, 20 plus years, like pushing, getting close to 25 years, like there is no one story. There's a lot of stories, and there's a lot of different stories. And what I like is that they continue, and that
yeah.
continues to inspire me, and get me excited about being an athlete myself and the work that I do supporting other athletes. Like it just keeps that excitement going because there will always be a new story.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love that. Love
Yeah,
that.
that would have been a question as well. Like how those stories inspire you back then again. Probably you have like an injury, you haven't had time, you feel demotivating, you take steps to the back, like we all experienced, I guess. Like I did a lot in the last 3.5 years. And so sometimes you're super frustrated. Um, does those stories come up in your mind and inspire you and motivate you then again, or do you don't need that? Probably. I mean, I have that, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I think they always do, because you see someone that has to work harder for what generally would come a little more naturally to you at the stage that you're in. And watching, maybe they're not injured, but they have to work really, really hard to get that thing that you can do. And you just need to work through this injury. And also hopefully a reminder that like injuries are a part of it. Injuries are a part of being an athlete. And it's very, very hard to avoid that completely, especially when you're competitive, you're stubborn. We don't have the luxury of like physical therapists and athletic trainers and not having a job and, to be able to rehab. It's just life is there and fitness is there and it happens. But hopefully the reminder that we all need is the comeback is always better than the setback. And so yeah, you might step back a little bit, and you might have to work a little harder to get that thing that came a little more naturally to you before, but you can get back there.
Yeah.
Like deep down you can get back there. You just need that reminder. And so that can come in a variety of ways, but one way is seeing people who have to struggle to get something that like on a normal day you can absolutely do.
Yeah.
Let that fuel you.
Yeah, so true. Such a great point.
Yeah, I had
Wow.
that like yeah, because I went to this long COVID stuff and I'm still in, but it's getting better. Hopefully it stays like this. So I
Yeah.
was so many times sick in such a short time. I would just be sick like forever, you
Oh
know,
man.
and still I was signed up for races and then I was like about probably you're better than, you know, you are hopeful. And so I did so many races with not being in training and I felt I had like 6 months or something, especially in 2023, 24. And I felt so shit because I did so shit then because I was not in any regular training and I'm still like slowly now back into regular training. And then I also needed a reminder that I was still able to finish that race, even I am not in shape, even I am sick and I am not fit as I was before, but I'm able still somehow I built up that body for 10 years and I was still able to finish the race and I forgot that for a moment and I was like before I was always like super grateful because as I said I was there I couldn't walk stairs anymore. So I was always proud on every finish line. And then at some point, when I got also like a little bit of push from environment to, oh, you're good, you should do more, you know, then I forgot it for a minute that that I was just frustrated about my race instead of thinking, but my body was still able to do it somehow, even it was shit and painful and not fun.
Right? Like you're
but
dealing with
I
long
I made
COVID and you
it.
can still run a race. Like,
Yes,
but we do,
yes.
it's like, we get into athlete mindset and we forget
Yeah.
and we need that perspective and it's hard. And
Sometimes
sometimes it
you need
takes another
someone to,
person. You need
yeah.
someone to tell you that
Yeah.
and that's why I try and do that with like my husband and I try and do that with each other because I think we take
Yeah.
turns
That's
kind
cool.
of
Yeah.
spiraling. My husband and I have a really uncanny ability where only one of us spirals at a time generally. So that's a nice thing in our partnership. So when one of us is having that moment, the other one reminds us
Mm,
that's like still leaps and bounds ahead of most people we know. And if somebody generally if somebody has a situation where they've been sick for a long time, they would not like running a race would be just completely unheard of, and as would be like most household activities. But you can still run a race, and it's hard and painful. And I ran a 10K road race right after I had COVID, and I remember how that felt. It felt terrible. It felt really bad. But fitness, the comeback is there. The frustration with fitness that I think a lot of people experience is like you can lose it very quickly if you step away, and then you have to have
yeah.
that slow build to come back, and it's not
Mm,
fair, but that's how it is. So
yes.
yeah, it's hard. The setback is hard, but the comeback is always better. But hopefully maybe you need affirmations in your house written at all times just in case you
Yeah.
don't have someone to
Some,
tell you, to smack
yeah.
you upside the head and be like, look at what you just did.
Yeah.
um
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Ah, wow. I think that's a really nice thing to end on. A nice point to
Yeah.
end on in the sense of, you know, it's so true what you said. There's, the point about someone working harder than what we would have to work, to get the same thing. That is like such a valuable point. I think everybody in the fitness world can sometimes just you get a little bit wrapped up, don't you, in what you're doing, can be guilty of getting a bit focused on the one thing, whereas actually exactly like you hit the nail on the head with so many points there about, being grateful, other working hard to have what others would have. I think like there's so much value in just like taking a step back and thinking like I just did that. Like whatever it is, I finished that. I did it. X, Y, and Z was hard, but I overcame it. And it builds everything, doesn't it? Like mental resilience, like not just physical, but also anytime you overcome a challenge that you didn't think you could do, you're building that strength in your mind as well to know next time, okay, well, actually last time I did that, so I know I can
Yeah.
do it this time.
Yeah.
It helps you in life too, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
work challenges,
So
life when
yeah.
just everything falls apart. I'll really quickly share a story of I ran a Spartan trifecta weekend couple years ago up in Big Bear, California, which is high altitude, and it's known as one of the hardest Spartan venues that they have. It's the hardest probably on the West Coast. And I drove up there in my Kia Soul, and my car broke down about 10 minutes from where I was going to stay on the mountain, where like I barely got into a turn off. There wasn't even like a place to turn off. I barely got into turn off, turned off my engine, and it wouldn't start again. I had to have a friend come out, take a look at it, found a piece of the engine on the ground. It's like, okay, this car's toast. Call a tow truck, take it to their house. And I had to figure out how to run a trifecta and how to get to and from the trifecta. It was about an hour away, and get my car off the mountain and get myself off the mountain. All in one weekend. And it's like, and all of this while running the trifecta in the hardest venue on the West Coast. So being worn out and tired and beaten down, and know that when it's over, I have to call car dealerships and try and get somebody to accept my car, call a tow truck, go on West Coast Spartans and say, can someone give me a ride home? And so like, that's always my go-to of like, that's what all of these big challenges is training me to be able to handle, is have the mental resilience to not fall apart when something like that happens, and just be like, screw it all, I'm out. But I'm going to run all 3 races. I'm going to borrow my friend's car to get there. I'm going to be really, really tired on Monday, but get up in the morning and start calling car dealerships and find one that will take the car, and call a tow truck and have them come up and get it, and find a stranger to drive me home that lives in my city. And I managed to do all of that in the middle of all that. So that's what when we talk about building resilience, like, it's not just the resilience to do more fitness, it's the resilience to like,
it's for life.
Do scary things in life, to handle challenges and hardships, and just not break as easily mentally and physically.
I think like there is a lot to be said for fitness giving you transferable key skills in life, definitely, and I don't know about you guys, I'm sure you probably do, but I learned so much about myself through races, like how to better myself, things to improve, things, the way you react to things, like I learned so much about myself through races. And I think like that's also builds that self-awareness as well, which is a great key thing to have.
It's really helpful for stress management.
Yeah,
very, very helpful. Yeah
definitely.
So at the end of this, I take like 3 takeaways, or I would resum it in 3 takeaways from what we talked about. So the first thing I think you said it in the very beginning, was always say yes to new opportunities, right? So that's like a message. I feel it's very important. And then the second is work out or do your fitness journey for freedom for your body, right? And then share your story to inspire others.
Yes, that's everybody's like an inspiration to somebody. Yes. Share your story. You're gonna help somebody, and it's gonna feel good.
I love that. I agree. That's 3 really great points. Like I love the last one.
Yes,
love the last one.
If there's anything I hope people take away from that, it's that. Share your story no matter where you're at, because there's somebody that's not quite there that maybe you'll get them to take an action that they might not have, and that's an amazing feeling.
100%.
So
100%. Oh, well, I could listen to your stories forever. Like,
oh my gosh, we just go all day. You're gonna have fun editing this one.
We can keep going. Like, you've got so many fascinating stories, but hopefully this has given people a bit more like of an insight into you. I know most people see you whizzing around on the skates, so hopefully they've got to know you a bit better through this podcast and all of the interesting things you've done and amazing stories you have. So thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And our second guest, first female, second guest on the show. So thank you so much for coming on.
I'm the second guest. I didn't know that.
Yes.
How cool. And first female. That's awesome.
Yes,
I love it.
First female guest.
Thank you for having me on. It was absolutely my pleasure, and I had a lot of fun. I could chat with y'all all day, but I have to go back to work sometime.
Sadly, but it was very, very interesting, inspiring, and I love your story.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all are awesome.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.